By the late 1980s, the Stargate project was in full swing. Declassified files show the US government had used remote viewing, the ability to physically see locations at a distance, for over a decade. When browsing through CIA archives, something made us do a double take: the apparent discovery of 3 extraterrestrial bases by an intelligence analyst. The obscure handwritten document subclassified Sun Streak under purview of the DoD's Defense Intelligence Agency describes secret underground facilities. One is reported beneath Mount Hayes, Alaska. Despite its status as the highest mountain in the state's eastern range, Hayes is very inaccessible. It's also at the epicenter of what locals call the Alaskan Triangle, a hotspot of paranormal and UFO activity, missing hikers, and beings being reported in the forests. So, what did the US government discover? And could a subterranean facility have anything to do with strange reports in the area going back decades? The story starts with this file, dated January 28, 1987. Remote viewer MR, possibly Mel Riley, a veteran of the unit. The session lasted 82 minutes and discussed personal associated ET bases. So far have run into 3 types of entities, he says, associated with bases within our solar system. Mount Hayes, there appear to be 2 types of entities associated with the site. Those located outside the structure were accomplishing some sort of routine task, unable to make contact with them or gain information of any sort. It's worth noting, in some remote viewing sessions, analysts were able to make contact with individuals residing within the target location. He continues, inside the structure were 2 entities, one sitting at some sort of circular console with a round screen-like object. The other was busy doing something in the background. The entity at the console appeared to be human in form, but lacked definitive facial features. MR did make contact with him. Quote, he seemed friendly enough and invited me to observe his actions at the console. Notes show the base had a color palette of dark blue, black, and green. He writes, it felt like being at the bottom of a canyon of natural rock, and adds that it is dark, spacious, and made of old stone. He noticed a strange sensation on his hand. It was like being energized somehow. The session next moved to South America or Africa. He can't quite tell, but he notes there are 2 kinds of entities here too. The first had a very large, round-shaped head and a slender neck, very inhuman in appearance, almost robot-like, unable to make any contact. End quote. So the obvious question is, what is going on here? It appears the project, back when it was under control of the Army, called Stargate, first became aware of the possibility. Skip Atwater, founder of the unit, wrote on his website, Pat Price unofficially remote viewed the secret locations and reported his findings to Scanate in the 1970s. Price, like MR, described a base deep beneath Mount Hayes. He believed the entities in the facility were human-looking but had different types of heart, lung, and eyes. According to Atwater, the intelligence community attempted to corroborate Price's findings in the secretive Project 8200. CIA records go back some of this. Price worked on Senate according to this now declassified report, and a retrospective analysis of Pat Price's observation was done in the 1980s. There is no mention of Project 8200 that's unredacted, at least, in the database. The document we showed earlier discussing entities under Mount Hayes is the only such corroboration of Price's claim in the CIA Stargate files. But Atwater does share more details of what Project 8200 analysts saw. He saw people who were thin, unemotional, cold, and had a programmed feeling. They felt unearthly. His notes are shocking. The same day, another analyst did her own CRV session of the Alaska mountain and noted something similar. Part of the internal structure was hollow and had unpleasant odors. A third analyst, who will remind you viewed this independently of the others, corroborates more. The region is desolate, he said, and the people working at the site were subdued. Box-shaped electronics and large round objects were there that contained intense energies. Project 8200 may have observed more, but only one more session is described by Atwater. A 1986 viewing told of an impenetrable structure inside the mountain. The viewer described it was like being inside NORAD at Cheyenne Mountain, and that there were caves with tunnels, a very large dome. He described a dark, shadowy entity sitting at a console. It's without doubt that remote viewers made these observations. But how accurate are they? Atwater's use of a double-blind study confirms Price's observation, and the Defense Intelligence Agency was clearly interested in them. Some session notes mention analytic overlay. This is something a viewer gets from time to time when there's information overlay. And they noted that sometimes this does confuse remote viewers, but in this case there was strong corroboration. Mount Hayes sits at the heart of what locals call this large swath of land between Anchorage, Juneau, and Barrow. Since the state began tracking missing persons in 1988, roughly 16,000 people have gone missing. It's twice the national average. And many are lost within the triangle itself. In 1972, when a small private plane carrying House Majority Leader Hale Boggs vanished between Anchorage and Juneau, the search, which included the Coast Guard, Navy, Army, Air Force, found nothing. No wreckage, no remains. They searched for 39 days. 1990, Jeff Roth and 4 passengers disappeared. He was at 12,000 feet heading toward Anchorage. Nothing was ever found. Another missing person, Rick Hills, who went missing in February 2004, picked up his paycheck from an oil rig operator in Anchorage, got his money, was driving home, and something strange happened. Police discovered his truck 2 days later embedded in a snowbank. His keys, driver's license, and $300 cash were in the car. Tracks outside show he walked into the woods dragging his right foot as if it were injured. He stopped. Search and rescue dogs lost his scent. Reporters later wrote it was as if he had been plucked and lifted straight into the air. A few years earlier, Alfred Kockendorfer went missing near Butte, Alaska. He was last seen at a gas station carrying hunting supplies. His ATV was found several days later abandoned next to a creek. There was no sign of any animal attack, fight, or even struggle. The supplies remained there. Searchers found no footprints, leaving the ATV or in the surrounding woods. There is also Tom Fitzgerald, who went missing near Paxton, the closest town to southern base of Mount Hayes. Police records showed he was with a hunting party. They went to sleep, and the following morning, Tom wasn't at the campsite. His gear was left behind. There was also reports of unidentified flying objects, such as Japan Airlines Flight 1628. And here's a depiction. In 1986, aircrew saw 2 unidentified objects that emitted heat into the cabin. They were flanked by disc-shaped objects. The sightings began 150 miles north of the mountain and ended near Talkeetna, 150 miles southwest of Mount Hayes. A year later, a U.S. Air Force jet flying from Anchorage to Fairbanks observed a large disc flying in the same area. Observations go back decades. A 1950 Navy evaluation discusses unidentified phenomenon near Kodiak, Alaska. It talks of several airborne objects. A sailor on the USS Tillamook saw a very fast-moving red light with the appearance of a ball of fire. There are anomalous sightings near the area where Pat Price and others in Stargate viewed what the CIA file called an underground ET base. And there are mysterious disappearances, some who seem to vanish without a trace. Then there's something else.
My raw impressions are that each one of these target sites is like a different spoke in a wheel. It's like a different part of a jigsaw puzzle. And each one is dormant. It does nothing unless it's commanded to do something. Mm-hmm. And then all it does is transfer, or it just transfers something. But it's an integral part of this whole cobweb of jigsaw puzzle. I get just an overwhelming feeling of the big 3C, command, control, and communications. If you equate this to a cobweb, every single angle in the cobweb represents a location on the cobweb. And I get an impression that the spider has not turned his whole cobweb on yet. Also, there's more than just these 4 locations. I have an immediate vision of seabed locations. I honestly believe that there are seabed locations.
Very excited, coherent pulses of positive charged particles. It's never been used on a full output. Still are experimental. Power is weird. It's like I don't think it's ever been done.
McMoneagle goes on to state that the alien base under Mount Hayes had the ability to emit ELF signals, very, very strong long-range communication signals. 4 years after he said those words, a Japanese airline pilot had an encounter where 2 objects shaped like cubes that you just saw emitted so much heat they could fill it into the cabin, and they were flanked by a gigantic disc-shaped craft. This literally occurred within 150 miles north and then down 150 miles to the southeast of Mount Hayes. He also stated that the base in Australia's Northern Territory, Mount Zeal, had a very sinister feel to it. He even used the word Darth Vader-like, and he believed that this particular location was very dark, and there were some really bad things going on there. He drew an entrance to the base, and there is a type of power source in these bases, and these power sources could very well be related to the underground black pyramids that have been discussed by military insiders who came forward to talk to Linda Moulton Howe. And now there's some that believe there is a black pyramid also in Bosnia and in some other locations around the world. That particular black pyramid, which is near Mount McKinley, looks very much like the drawings that Joseph McMoneagle draws when he was talking about the power source. As they continued Project 8200, he went through and talked about each one of the locations. He was able to give a full description. At Mount Hayes, he described this shadowy figure at a console of keyboards and monitors, performing a function of some kind. In Spain, he actually saw people with helicopters in the presence of these aliens. The aliens at Mount Hayes looked human, but he said that their anatomy was different than human anatomy. Heart, lungs, etc. were different. And this brings us to a very interesting point. In recent times, you've had a group of the world's most respected remote viewers at this time, which is the Farsight group, target what they believe is the largest operational reptilian alien base in the United States. And I've talked about that a number of times. And this particular base, according to their remote viewing sessions, is a base where many missing people wind up. It is a base where the darkest of the dark things are happening. There are humans which are systematically tortured for their, basically the endocrine gland secretions which are caused through this technique that they've developed. And Farsight.org also has picked up on numerous different clues as to the actual location of this reptilian base.
Concept of control, command control. Location's integral part of location. Get a fixed orbitable platform. It's not going anywhere.
Origin of being is perceptible.
Total blank. Don't get anything. Get what looks like reddish yellow ball, black spots. Understand that. Far away feeling. Don't feel like I can go on a straight line there. Like I'm folded over. Just got a memory. Some vague familiarity. Origin of the spaceborne platform. I got a very old and a very new sensation. Like I got both sensations. I'm having a lot of trouble with time on this thing. It's like periods of time I'm talking about. I'm trying to equate the years, and they're not. There's like I'm going from ancient to new to ultra modern back to new. You know, I'm flopping around in time, so that's probably pretty important. This spaceborne platform is in a permanent fixed place. It's not rotating around the Earth, and it's not moving north and south or doing any orthogonal rotation or anything. It's fixed. It's just like it's nailed in space, and as the Earth rotates, it rotates with the Earth. It's like it's fastened with a string to the Earth, never moves, and it's way out there, you know, so it has no decaying orbit. It's fixed. I felt like I was really with the target, and I felt like I went a long, long way off somewhere. And I had a feeling that in trying to go to the origin of the platform, I had a feeling like I couldn't go in a straight line to it, like I had to deviate in some way, and then I felt like I got convoluted inside out and all these other things. And so it's just a lot of weird experience with this.
What emotion does the session evoke?
I have to compare it to something, and comparably speaking, when I first started this series of 4 targetings, my initial target, or target number 1, is I had a very sinister feeling. Target number 2 got less sinister. Target number 3 was not sinister at all. This target has convinced me that this has absolutely no evil content in the way that we would describe evil, you know, like guiding nuclear weapons or blasting space platforms out of space or any of that stuff. There's just no sinister attitude to this.
To this one particular one?
To all of them.
All right.
Later in 2009, Atwater explained that the experiment was ran 2 more times. The results all came back very similar, indicating that these bases are indeed at those locations. They were able to determine a number of things about the beings at these bases. And what McMonigal discovered is the most fascinating of all, that this complex of bases, of command and control centers that looked like they were part of a spider's web, actually were connected to a deep space platform that he describes. This platform is uninhabited, he says at this time, that it is fully automated. And when he began to explore the possible origins of the platform itself, as he was asked to do, he discovered and described a yellowish orange ball with black spots, and that this object felt like it was an impossibly long distance, that you could never get there in a straight line. And there were other indications that it was perhaps even interdimensional in nature. This has been Jack at the Paranormal Intelligence Agency. Thanks for joining us again, and we'll be back pretty soon with yet another deep, dark mystery to explore. Please share, like, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.